There is a kind of silence that no music can fill, a kind of loneliness that no crowd can cure. It comes in the quiet hours, when the phone doesn't ring, when the notifications stop, when the world feels like it has moved on without you. You sit alone in a room that suddenly feels too large, too empty, and you wonder if anyone remembers your name. Modern life promises connection, yet delivers isolation. We are surrounded by faces, yet unseen. We speak into the void of screens, yet remain unheard. The loneliness of today is not the loneliness of distance, it is the loneliness of proximity, of being close to many, but known by none. It is the ache of existing in a world that moves too fast to notice when you disappear. But this feeling, this weight, this silence, it is not new. 2,000 years ago, in a world of marble columns and distant frontiers, there lived a man who knew this ache better than most. His name was Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, the most powerful man on earth. Soldiers bowed before him. Senators sought his favor. The fate of empires rested in his hands. Yet when the doors closed, when the ceremonies ended, when the torches dimmed and the palace fell silent, Marcus sat alone. He was surrounded by millions, yet accompanied by no one. He ruled the world, yet could not escape the walls of his own mind. Picture him there, in the dead of night, in a military tent on the frozen banks of the Danube, or in the quiet chambers of his palace, far from the laughter of loved ones. By the flicker of lamplight, he bent over a worn parchment, writing not for an audience, not for history, but for himself. These writings would become the meditations, a diary never meant to be read, a conversation between a lonely emperor and his own soul. In those pages, Marcus did not write of glory or conquest. He wrote of solitude, of suffering, of the struggle to remain whole when the world tears you apart. He wrote because he had no one else to speak to. He wrote because loneliness for him was not an enemy to flee, it was a mirror to face. Marcus understood something most people spend their entire lives avoiding, that loneliness is not a curse, but a passage. It is not emptiness, but space. It is the soul's way of calling you back to yourself, of stripping away the noise and the masks and the pretending until all that remains is the truth of who you are. And in that truth, if you have the courage to sit with it, you find something the world cannot give and cannot take away inner peace. Marcus wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." He did not write this from a place of comfort. He wrote it from the battlefield, from the plague-ridden streets of Rome, from the nights when grief sat heavy on his chest and the future felt uncertain. He wrote it because he had learned, through isolation and loss, that the only refuge we truly have is within. For the Stoics, solitude was sacred. It was not something to fear, but something to embrace. They did not see loneliness as a void to be filled with distraction, with noise, with the company of others who could never truly understand. They saw it as an invitation to examine the mind, to strengthen the spirit, to remember that true peace is not found in external circumstances, but in the way we meet them. Marcus did not wait for the world to comfort him. He turned inward. He asked the questions others were too afraid to ask. What do I control? What do I not? What kind of man do I wish to be when no one is watching? In the silence, he found his answers. In the solitude, he found himself. The Stoic path is not easy. It does not promise you will never feel alone. It promises something deeper, that you will learn to stand whole, even in the absence of others. Marcus faced isolation in its rawest forms. He lost children to illness. He watched friends betray him. He spent years away from his family, commanding legions on frozen frontiers, surrounded by men who obeyed him but could never know him. He ruled during plague, famine, and war, carrying burdens no one could share. And yet, he did not break. He did not collapse into bitterness or despair. Instead, he used solitude as a forge. He let loneliness burn away what was weak in him and tempered what was strong. He learned to befriend the silence, to sit with it, to let it teach him. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This was not philosophy as theory. This was philosophy as survival. Marcus knew that if he waited for the world to change, for people to understand, for circumstances to align, he would wait forever. So he stopped waiting. He stopped looking outward for peace and turned inward instead. He realized that loneliness loses its power the moment you stop resisting it. The moment you stop seeing it as a punishment and start seeing it as a teacher. What is this moment trying to show me? What is this silence trying to reveal? In those questions, Marcus found clarity. He found purpose. He found himself. This wisdom is not ancient history. It is alive today in every person who has ever felt forgotten, unseen, or left behind. In a world that equates worth with attention, loneliness feels like failure. We scroll through endless images of connection, of laughter, of belonging, and we wonder why we are not there, why we are here, alone, staring at a screen that reflects nothing back. But the Stoic answer is not to chase more distractions, not to drown the ache in noise or numb it with shallow company. The Stoic answer is to turn inward, to sit with the loneliness, to ask it what it wants to teach you, because loneliness, when you stop running from it, becomes a guide. It reveals your strength, your self-reliance, your deepest values. It shows you that you are not broken for being alone, you are whole. Even in solitude, Marcus transformed isolation into philosophical clarity. Instead of resisting the silence, he used it. Instead of cursing his loneliness, he mined it for wisdom. The nights he spent alone, writing by lamplight, became the foundation of a book that would outlive empires. His solitude birthed the Meditations, a work that still guides millions, centuries after his death. His stillness became strength. His loneliness became legacy. He did not escape isolation. He transformed it. He learned that the deepest conversations are the ones you have with yourself, that the truest companionship is the peace you cultivate within your own mind, that when you stop fearing solitude, you stop depending on others for your happiness. You become unshakable. Not because nothing hurts you, because you have learned to endure without breaking. This is the Stoic truth. Peace is not found in company, but in inner harmony. It is not found in being loved by many, but in learning to stand whole, even when standing alone. Marcus did not have what we have: no phones, no messages, no digital echoes of connection. His loneliness was absolute. And yet he did not despair. He did not collapse. He turned inward, and in the depths of his own soul, he found a quieter, more untroubled retreat than any empire could provide. He learned that the world is indifferent, that people come and go, that circumstances shift like sand, but the mind, when trained, when disciplined, when aligned with reason, becomes an unshakable fortress. And in that fortress, you are never truly alone. So when the silence comes, when the loneliness settles in like fog, do not run. Do not fill the space with distractions that fade as quickly as they arrive. Sit with it. Breathe with it. Ask what it is trying to teach you. Because loneliness is not the absence of others, it is the presence of self. It is the moment when you stop looking outward for validation and start building inward strength. It is the moment when you realize that the only person who will be with you from birth to death is you. And if you cannot find peace in your own company, you will never find it in anyone else's. Marcus Aurelius did not escape loneliness. He transformed it. He learned to stand alone without crumbling. He learned that solitude is not suffering but sanctuary. He learned that the soul, when given space, does not wither, it expands. And so can you. For every person must one day face themselves. And those who learn to stand alone stand the strongest. Solitude is not the absence of love. It is the presence of self. And in that presence, you are enough. You have always been enough. You will always be enough.